Hello friends, welcome to Kamat Astrology. So today's topic is Venus in Paap Kartari Yog, debilitation, and it is aspected by Saturn. So we will see the predictions for the world in the month of October 2025 based on this position of Venus. So on October 17th, 2025, Venus or Shukra moves into the sign of Virgo, which is its debilitation sign. So if you look at the screen here, the left hand side chart, the bottom right square, that is where Venus is placed, and I have shown it with a purple square. Now what is Venus actually? Venus is the planet of balance, harmony, marriage, partnerships, relationships, contracts, and it is gentle by nature. On the other hand, what is Virgo or Kanya? It is the natural sixth house of the zodiac, and it is a sign of conflicts, debates, arguments, perfection, finding out mistakes. Now imagine the planet of love, harmony, wealth being placed in this earthy sign of Virgo or Kanya, where it is forced into debates, it is forced into arguments. So that is contrary to the nature of Venus or Shukra, and therefore Venus or Shukra is considered debilitated here. Now, instead of focusing on grace, beauty, art, here it becomes very critical, it becomes fussy, it focuses on imperfections. There is a desire for harmony, but it is difficult to achieve. So in this time period, if your spouse or your partner gets a bit irritated, angry, understand that it is because Venus is in the sign of Virgo right now. So this is why Venus or Shukra is debilitated in Virgo. Now what do I mean by Paap Kartari? When a planet is trapped between two malefics, one in the square before it, one in the square after it, it is called as Paap Kartari Yog. Square in the sense of a Rashi. So you can see that in the sign of Libra, you have two malefic planets, Mars and Sun. And in the sign of Leo, you have a malefic planet called Ketu. So Venus is now trapped between these three malefic planets, and therefore it is a intense Paap Kartari Yog. So when a planet is in Paap Kartari Yog, it cannot give the desired good results. It is restricted because it is trapped between these malefic energies. So let us understand this in a bit more depth. Now what are Mars and Sun? Sun represents the government, Sun represents heat, ego. Mars represents the commander in chief, he represents the army, he represents aggression, dominance. Now these are very hot planets and they are placed in the sign of Libra, which is supposed to be a sign of balance and harmony. So there is too much ego, there is too much heat in this sign of balance and harmony. So when Mars and Sun are placed in Libra, that is the sign after Venus is placed, or after where Venus is placed, this aggressive Mars that is going to bring impatience, conflict, desire for dominance in partnerships. Libra is the sign of contracts, diplomacy, harmony. So when such hot planets are placed here and Venus is also debilitated, it suggests a breakdown in contracts, it suggests a breakdown in relationships. On a global level, the relationship between different countries, the diplomatic efforts to bring about peace, all of that fails here. So for example, if there was a peace attempt being tried by certain countries between, say, Israel and Iran or Israel and the Gaza Strip, then those kind of attempts are going to fail now, because Mars and Sun are very hot planets, and the decisions that the governments now take will be very impulsive, unpredictable, and they will be dominated by ego. They will be dominated by aggression. They will be dominated by a feeling for personal authority. So leadership will also behave very unpredictably because Ketu is placed in the sign of Leo. So Ketu shows disillusionment with leaders, hidden unpredictable events, because Leo is the sign of leadership and Ketu is about detachment, it is about breaking away. And Ketu gives very unpredictable results. So Ketu in Leo can bring out scams related to film stars, celebrities, musicians. It can also suggest decisions taken by leaders that can go completely wrong. So that can break the diplomatic efforts completely. And moreover, because Venus or Shukra is now trapped between Mars and Ketu, matters of diplomacy, matters related to cooperation between nations, they will all be cut short. And these efforts instead will be undermined by aggression and unexpected turns. Now, there is one more thing which I want to tell you. You have Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces. This retrograde Saturn is aspecting Venus. And what is Saturn? Saturn is a planet of delays. It is a planet of restriction. It is a planet of discipline, hardship, routine work. So when it aspects Venus, it is going to impose a sense of obligation, and relationships will be driven by obligations rather than natural affection or love. So relationships undergo a stressful period in this time frame. Now Venus also shows wealth, Venus shows beauty, Venus shows the stock market also. So you will find that the stock market may suddenly fall in this time period. You have to be careful with your money if you are investing it unnecessarily in the stock market in this time. Be very careful about which stocks you choose, where exactly you invest in this time period. And this aspect of Saturn that can cause delays in financial resolutions, it can cause strain on the global partnerships, and it will also teach us difficult lessons related to justice. Venus also fights for justice when Saturn aspects it. Now, Virgo is a sign of audits, and Saturn is about scrutiny. So, existing alliances, existing partnerships, which Venus represents, all these are going to face intense scrutiny in this time period. And you might feel very restricted in partnerships. At the world level, also, it will be highly restrictive partnerships. So the Mars Venus Ketu axis that can trigger sudden and unpredictable military conflict, diplomatic channels can fail, leaders will act with ego driven aggression, like I explained before. Saturn's aspect on Venus in Virgo that can cause economic hardship, financial restructuring in many countries. Venus shows our wealth, it shows our resources, and its debilitation or weakness can lead to market crash, inflation, financial instability. So, focus now shifts from luxury to scarcity. So, today having a job is a big thing, whereas earlier it was a very normal thing. Today, you are seeing layoffs in every sector, especially in the IT sector, and this is going to increase over time. Now, presence of Ketu in Leo that can suggest some kind of betrayal by the leaders of different countries to each other. So that can cause a sudden karmic severance in the global partnerships, and nations will now act out of self-interest, and the old alliances, example, many countries in NATO might disintegrate. So this could disrupt long-standing diplomatic ties. Now, let us come to India's chart. In India has a Taurus ascendant, so the sign of Virgo becomes the fifth house. And fifth house is the sign of creativity, it is the sign of children, it is the sign of investment, education. And Virgo is a natural house of issues, conflicts. So, issues related to education, issues related to colleges, issues related to unemployment, All of these come out in this time period. Venus is very creative. So when Saturn aspects Venus, there is a fight for justice. So there will be protests against this unemployment problem across the nation, and people may protest in very creative ways, maybe on social media, through artistic means, or other channels. Now, Venus represents balance and harmony. It represents the amount of peace you will have in life. And therefore, when Venus is placed in this sign of conflict, issues related to students, unemployment, that is going to cause discontent and large scale protests. Even job recruitment scams, scams by educational institutes can come out in this time period. Now, what else does this sign represent? It represents hospitals, it represents farmlands, it represents agriculture. So, issues in the hospital sector come out in this time period. Farmer protests can again happen because now Venus is here, and this sign also represents farmers and agriculture. And Saturn aspecting Venus here shows protests. Venus is trapped in Paap Kartari. So issues related to debt, minimum support price, other policies which previously the farmers were fighting for, those could again become a flashpoint because Saturn is also retrograde right now. And retrograde Saturn is aspecting Venus, which means the past issues will come out now. Mars Ketu influence can lead to increase in the farmers' frustration, and it can become a very big agitation. So this could be farmers' agitation, this could be youth agitation, but definitely it will take some kind of form in the times ahead. The youth may express such protests via art, music, or creative social media campaigns. All this is going to happen because of Venus here. Now, in India's chart, Venus is the first and the sixth lord. Sixth lord also shows conflicts. Placed in the fifth house, that is why I said this can show youth protests, this can show farmer related protests, agriculture related protests. Fifth house also shows film stars, celebrities. So scams related to these people can come out in this time period. You could hear about a famous celebrity suffering from a major disease such as a kidney disease in this time period. Venus is the planet of luxury, beauty and wealth. In Europe especially and in India also, you will see the wealth going down for some time because of this placement of Venus. The stock markets will get affected. They might suddenly go down in this time period due to Venus's placement. Now, Eastern Europe and America, because of Saturn in the watery Pisces aspecting Venus in Virgo, it may give disputes related to naval waters or maritime trade routes. So, Europe, the breakdown between relationships between different European countries and the countries within the NATO alliance will start now as long as Venus remains here, and then it will further intensify in the times ahead. So overall, it is a bad time for Europe, and in India also it is not a very good time for the youth of this country. Now, as far as Israel goes, relationships with the Middle East countries will deteriorate in this time period. Alliances with certain countries could break down suddenly, and Venus affliction here can bring breakdown in diplomatic effort, and there will be more focus on hidden agenda. So Middle East may again flare up because of this placement of Venus very soon. In South Asia, the Mars Saturn 6-8 combination, that is going to complicate matters, affect trade, diplomacy and resource negotiations. So overall, Venus being in Paap Kartari, Venus being aspected by Saturn, Venus being in its debilitation sign, receiving no benefic aspect, is not a good thing for the world. Venus is our creativity, it is our wealth, it is about balance and harmony in the world. and it is also about the stock market, it is about celebrities. So all these areas are going to suffer in this time period, and across the world you will see problems related to unemployment, lack of wealth among the youth, and lot of scams coming out in the film industry, protests by the youth and protests by farmers. All these things will happen after 17th October 2025 slowly. The only good thing is Jupiter aspects Mars and Sun in the sign of Libra. So that can provide a little bit of relief, little bit of advice before the negotiations break down. But Venus, if you see, is debilitated, is aspected by Saturn, is in Paap Kartari, and there is no benefic aspect on Venus to provide any kind of help. So definitely it shows a downfall in the significations related to Venus, that is wealth, partnerships, balance, harmony in the world. So what is the solution? Save your money, don't waste money unnecessarily, don't splurge your money, because a debilitated Venus can cause you to do wrong things with your money and investment. Worship goddess Lakshmi daily, that gives strength to Venus. Respect your partner's views in this time period, because since Venus is debilitated, conflicts can happen with your partners or your spouse in this time period. Lastly, be careful while signing any contract in this time period. You could make mistakes in this time period. Donate articles such as rice, white clothes to poor and needy women in this time period, especially on Fridays. That makes Venus better. So friends, I'll conclude this video here. To contact us, email us at astrosevaworld@yahoo.com. To know more about us, visit our website astroseva.tripod.com. So friends, thanks a lot. Bye. Take care and stay safe.